Hey, what's up, guys? It's Russo and Jordy with Backdoor Fantasy Sports, and we've got another Prize Picks video for you. We're going to be talking about the NFL slate on January 6th, Saturday. We have two games. Honestly, there's not like a whole lot to be excited about, but I mean, it still is football. There's definitely some plays to get into. The reason I say that is just because like the Ravens are benching a lot of their starters and whatnot. I'm definitely more excited for the Colts and the Texans. I was wanting to say the Titans? Yeah, the Colts and the Texans. That'll be a much more exciting game because there's a lot more on the line. Both teams need to win that game. So that's kind of like a little bit more exciting, but there's definitely still some plays we can jump into from both games here. Before we get into our plays, though, if you've never tried Prizepicks, use our promo code and they will double your first deposit up to $100. They're going to match whatever you put on. So if you do deposit the whole 100, you'll get 200 to play with. Just throw our code in there and they will hook you up with that deal. And if you're new to our channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. We run a lot of different types of shows. This is our late night show. And then Monday through Friday, we have a daily show. And a lot of these plays end up moving on you pretty quick. So if you have your notifications on, they'll notify you as soon as our videos are up. You can jump on the plays if you like what we're getting into. And as always, guys, if you don't mind, if you appreciate our show, if you don't mind just liking the video, it's a huge help, really helps us growing the channel, gets us in front of a larger audience. And yeah, we really appreciate it if you don't mind hooking us up with a like there. And we're going to actually, gosh, it seems like forever since we've talked football because we didn't have Monday Night Football and we didn't have Thursday Night Football. So yeah, it's been since Sunday, but gosh, that feels forever in like the NFL world. But yeah, so back to Sunday, we took 2 picks each in a demon. The demons weren't our official plays, but we'll still tell you the outcomes. I mean, not that it matters. I mean, like, yeah, we weren't like necessarily recommending the demons. Those were just some dart throws that we liked. But for my 2 plays, I had James Conner over 11.5 fantasy score. He's just been super consistent, and he ended up going for 19. He did well that game. Sorry. Oh yeah. So yeah, he went for 115 rushing yards and a receiving touchdown. So he did well. And then, man, this was frustrating. Justin Tucker, we took him for over 8.5 fantasy score, which seemed so easy for him. And he went for 8, and it was all on extra points. He kicked 8 extra points in that game. That's crazy against Miami. Nonetheless, who isn't the easiest defense to play against, but the Ravens just look like contenders right now. They look like no one's going to get in their way is the way it feels right now. But gosh, 8 extra points, not a single field goal. So we missed it by 0.5, unfortunately. And then for my demon, I had Will Levis, which that was, the line is kind of irrelevant because he got injured so quick, and we ended up getting a reboot on that. So that didn't end up counting for anything. What about you, Jordy?
Yeah, lucky you that Levis dove in front of a train because I wanted to after watching mine. So I took Kyron Williams for over 2.5 receptions. He went for only 2. I started him in my the Dynasty Championship, which I ended up winning. Russo doesn't want to mention that in the video, but
no, congratulations. I'm so happy for you.
Thanks. Yeah, me and him went head to head in the championship for our Dynasty Fantasy League, and I ended up taking it. So that was it was cool. It was my first win in the Fantasy League, so it was cool. It was my first chip. But yeah, I had Kyron in that game. He only went for 2. I also took Zeke's receiving yards. I felt really good about this one. He's hit it literally every game he's played this year. And he fell short. He only had 1 reception for 6 yards. He had a pretty good game. He just didn't catch that many passes. So we missed on that one. And then we took CJ Stroud's passing yard demon for over 299.5. This is a really high line. But he only went for 214. That was a pretty tough matchup between them and the Titans. Titans played really, really well on defense. They've been kind of shutting it down on that end, so they're playing a lot better. But yeah, missed on those 2. So
Yeah. And speaking of fantasy championships, I made it to 3 championships in 3 leagues I was in and ended up taking second in all of them. Well, second. I lost the championship, but second is like, it's worth something. You know, we still make some money in our leagues if you take second place, but it was conflicting because Jordan had CeeDee Lamb and I had James Conner. And so I was happy with James Conner and frustrated with CeeDee Lamb. But in the other championship I was in, that was for a little less money. I had CeeDee Lamb and was playing against James Conner. So the whole time I was just like, and then somehow the math worked out where I lost all 3 of them, even though I had the corresponding players. But it was a lot of fun. And it was one of those losses that I was okay with. If my team would have just busted, I would have been frustrated. But half point PPR, my guys ended up putting up 120. I shouldn't have even been in it. You guys remember how long I was just like telling you guys to pray for me to make the playoffs. My team was so injured, but I ended up getting Joe Flacco to take me to the promised land. He just couldn't take me into the promised land. I could only see it from a distance.
At the door.
Yeah. Well, I got to see it.
Yeah,
but
I kicked the door in on the promised land, putting up 169 on the dot. So how about that for a backdoor number? Huh?
Yeah, and and I went for 120. So like I said, it was like whatever. Like I was happy for you because I'm like, that was just an undeniable dub because I'm like, dude, I can't even complain. I put up 120. There's no way I was going to put up like 170 in half point. But anyways, so that does it for the recap on the Sunday NFL slate and the Dynasty Championship that Jordy took down. Already ready for next year. It's going to be a lot of fun. But cool. So let's get into these plays where people start complaining about time stamping the picks and whatnot and why we take forever. But but we've got 2 plays for you. We're just kind of having fun. It's one of those late night weekend shows, but 2 plays for you. I'm going to be going 2 fantasy score plays. Fade them if you don't like them. These are just what I'm going to be going with. And my first play is going to be Gardner Minshew. And I want to take his fantasy score because he's that type of player that rises to the occasion when a lot is on the line. He's carried teams through a lot of adversity and situations before when people just were like, that's kind of how he became Gardner Minshew. He was that guy who steps in and gets the job done and sometimes really excels at what he's doing. I know he's coming off a couple of bad games against some tough defenses. We were just talking about the video where he was talking about how upset or how angry Max Crosby was, which was hilarious. But I do like him to go over in this very important game. And he's got the home field advantage. And I went with a fantasy score because I want a little bit of everything. Excuse me. I want a little bit of everything, like the passing yards, touchdown upside, the rushing, in 15, I think he can get that done. We have a pretty high over under. We have a 47.5 over under with the Texans favored by just 1.5 points. So Indianapolis is going to have to put points on the board somehow. And I don't think it's going to be all Jonathan Taylor. The matchup is actually favorable to the pass as far as yards go. If we take a look at the Texans, they're actually 25th in passing yards allowed. And if we take a look at the game script or the game plan for Indianapolis, they're passing the ball 57% of the time. So they're a little bit above or just slightly below league average, but still passing more often than running, which is pretty typical. But with that matchup, I like his odds of going over 15 fantasy score. If we take a look at passing TDs, this is where the Texans are tough. They're only allowing around 1 passing TD per game. They're number 1 in the NFL in defense to passing touchdowns, but they actually do allow a decent amount of rushing touchdowns. They're 25th in rushing touchdowns against. So I could see a situation where they're bringing it into the red zone, and maybe we see a little bit of Gardner magic, where he's able to rush in for a touchdown. But either way, I just think that this line's low enough where I'm comfortable taking it. If you're not, then don't worry about it. Just fade it or jump into something else. But if we hop over to Daily Grind, they actually have this favored to go over as well at 52.12% odds to go over. And part of that is because of the discrepancy with Prizepicks versus a lot of these other odds makers have it a little bit closer to 16 on fantasy score. So Prizepicks is actually a little bit lower than most options out there. So I'm going to be taking that for over. And then I know he technically didn't burn us last time, but I'm going to be going back to Justin Tucker here for over 6.5 fantasy score. This is super low, and I don't think he's going to be getting 8 extra points with all their starters sitting out. They're not going to bench the kicker, but Lamar, like all the studs, are going to be out for this game. And so I think Huntley is going to have to do his best, but it's not going to be a typical Ravens game. And so I think that they're going to get shut down a lot in the red zone. And Tucker just needs to hit 2 field goals essentially to go over 6.5. If we take a look at this over under, it's not as exciting. 34.5 with the Steelers favored by just 3 points. So just a field goal, which is kind of surprising with the amount of starters they have out. But at the same time, it is the Ravens. So yeah, we got the Steelers favored by 3 points. So I like Tucker to go over just 6.5. If we hop over to Outlier, they don't have fantasy score on Outlier. But if we look at the kicking points, set at over 5.5, they're excuse me, the Steelers are actually 24th in kicking points allowed. And if we look at how often he's gone over 5.5, it's pretty much all the time. And it's really nothing lower than 7. So kicking points alone, he never goes under this. And for the field goals, we're going to get at least what the kicking points would be, if not more. So yeah, I mean, this one pretty much speaks for itself. It's just a low-hanging fruit on a board that is honestly kind of difficult. I'm not super excited about what I'm seeing here, but it is going to be a fun game between the Texans and the Colts, that's for sure. But those are the two I'm running with: Gardner Minshew over 15 fantasy score and Justin Tucker over 6.5 fantasy score. What do you got for us, Jordy?
Yeah, man. So to get me started in mine here, I'm going to be going with a receiving yards prop. And I'm going to start off with Deontay Johnson. I feel like this one is going to be pretty easy for him to hit. The Ravens are not going to be at full capacity. They are resting a couple of their defensive starters also. They're resting one of their corners. I think they're resting Roquan. So there's going to be some opportunities for offensive players in this game. This is a pretty must-win game for the Steelers anyway. So for them, they need to win this game, and I would think they were going to. We can only hope that they would win this game. They're favored by just 3 points. Obviously, their quarterback situation isn't the best, but it's better now than it has been. I like Mason Rudolph, and he's definitely the most capable quarterback they have on their team right now. So I like Deontay Johnson to go over this 36.5 receiving yards line. If you look at his last 10 games here, he's gone over this in 6 out of 10 games through all the quarterback controversy and all this stuff. But the one game he's had with Mason Rudolph here, he went for 76 receiving yards. So, pretty good sample size to see what is going to go on there. And he actually had, let's see how many targets he had in that game. He had 4 targets. I'm guessing he caught all 4 targets. So that'll do. I mean, he can definitely get 37 yards with 4 targets. So I like him to go over this one. I think he'll probably get a little bit more in this game because I don't know how this game plan is going to go for them. I don't think they're going to just run the clock out. I think the Ravens will kind of keep it a little bit competitive. So I like him to get this. This is just pretty low. And then this one is juiced, I believe, to go over. So his receiving yards to go over are pretty much a 50-50 shot. So I like it to go over. I think he's, probably George Pickens' receiving yards is just a little high. I mean, it's only 10 yards higher, but they're going to be giving him a lot of attention. So I just like Deontay Johnson to get this done. You could take George Pickens if you like. I like him as well. But I'm going to be going with Johnson there. And then I'm going to be going with CJ Stroud to go over 259.5 passing yards. This is pretty low for him, honestly. Like, him being healthy, he's done this a lot. If you look at his last 10 games here, this is set for 249 because that was the only alt line I could find here. So if you want to go a little higher, I'll go 261. He's still gone over this in 5 out of 10 games. He missed it just by a little bit against Tennessee. All of his receivers are kind of banged up right now. If you look at the injury report here, Noah Brown's out, Tank Dell's out. He's just got a whole bunch of receivers out or questionable right now. Robert Woods is questionable. But he does have Nico Collins healthy. So Nico is a huge target for him to go to in this game. And he's got the tight end as well. So I'm blanking on names right now. It's been a rough day for me today. But I'm going to be going with his passing yards over in this game. As you can see, the Colts are ranked 17th in passing yards, giving up 224.8. So it's a pretty good matchup for him. Nothing too crazy defensively that he's going to have to worry about. They're not really great at rushing the passer either. So I'm going to be taking his passing yards here. I think he can get this done for us. It's going to be a competitive game. I mean, a 47.5 over-under with a 1.5 point spread. He's going to have to throw the ball. So I like him to go over this. And those are the two I've got, man.
Cool. Yeah, so that's the 4 we've got for you for this slate, guys. We were going to try to do a correlation slip, but we honestly, they didn't really have, they had like one option, and they have different correlation grades when they pump out a slip. And this wasn't a particularly high grade, and they only had one slip for Prizepicks. So we're going to wait and give it a shot tomorrow. We think there'll be better value on the Sunday video because the slip that we were looking at, we honestly would want to tweak. So rather than do all that, we figured we'd just give you our picks. And then tomorrow night, we'll try to get you a correlation slip from Daily Grind as well. And speaking of Daily Grind, if you do want to check out any of their tools, we have partnered up with them. So they're giving all of our viewers 25% off of any of their tools, from the DFS optimizer to the correlation tool. So if you're interested in checking that out, just use code BACKDOOR and they'll give you 25% off. There's a link in the description of the video for that. And if you want to check out our Discord, we had a great time today doing our Flex Friday protected play build outs. Ended up having a rough day for the NBA. Gosh, it just seemed like every prop that we had in our video, every prop that we were discussing in Discord, like everything that everyone was putting out just ended up hitting the under today. It was just one of those days. But we had a really good time hanging out and doing our build outs together. So if you want to check out our Discord, we have a really cool community over there. There's a link in the description of the video for that as well. Other than that, we hope you guys are having a really good weekend. And we are not going to be doing an NBA video tonight because we don't like what's on the board, and it's only a 4-game slate. So we're going to wait and do a video tomorrow when we don't typically do a daily show, but we're going to do one tomorrow instead when we've got fantasy score and more categories to work with. So have a great rest of your Friday night, guys, if you're still up hanging out. And we'll catch you tomorrow for the NBA video.
Good luck, guys.